So I've already planned this ahead of time, so you should think and plan a little bit, but I'm going to kind of follow one of the designs I've already made. So I'm going to start with a new poster size inside of Illustrator, saying File New. Again, I might use the common sizes up here where the profile is in the new, and I'm going to do print, and I'm going to change the letter to tabloid. And again, that's a tabloid. If you want it inches, you can choose inches, and you'll see it's 11 by 17. So I'm making a poster. Again, something larger than 8.5 by 11, just like we did when we made our artist statement. Something a little bit bigger. And I got a nice big artboard. Again, we're going to be making this. I'm going to have some trees, and they're going to be some trees are going to be made redwood trees, and those redwood trees will have texture. So we're going to make a texture and apply it to the tree bark, right? Bark, redwood tree bark. And then we'll make some tree shapes. Then again, we'll have a moon at the top, and the moon will be up here, and it will have light that comes down, and as it comes down, it will fade to transparent. So you can have a transparency in a gradient is the main purpose of that. So I might just start with a background, and again, I'm going to use a bunch of layers. So we'll make one called background. And I'm just going to make some background shape, kind of a sky, and that'll be kind of a dark background. Yeah?
My resolution has been turned way down. It's really dark. How do I lighten it so I can see?
On the keyboard, I believe there is the brightness.
Oh, this one.
There you go. Okay. So I'm going to have of course, this is like an evening, dark. We're going to have a little stars going. So I'm going to have like a background color there, and then maybe a background color down here as well. And we'll make that kind of maybe a dark green. There we go. So we have a background shape to get our started, and I'm going to lock that so it doesn't move. Locking my layer and make a new layer, and we're going to make some trees. And the other thing we're going to demonstrate is something called the Mesh Warp tool. The Mesh Warp is where I'm going to make one tree, and I'm going to duplicate the tree and use something called the Mesh Warp to alter the shape of the tree so it looks a little different, so that they're not all the same. So there's going to be another tool that we use called Mesh Warp. So let me first make a tree. Again, I'm going to make kind of a redwood tree. I'm just going to use my pencil. You can use the pencil. You don't have to use the pen tool. Where's my pencil? Where's a pencil? Somewhere in here, isn't there? Pencil. Pencil, there it is. And let me double click on the pencil. Make sure it's going to fill it when I'm done. Fill new pencil stroke. Keep selected. So that's fine. So I might change it to a brown color because it's going to be my bark. And then we'll add a texture over top of it. So again, a redwood tree might have a nice kind of long, kind of, there, a nice long kind of trunk. And then I'm going to use my pen tool to add some kind of whoosh, that side's a little harder, the left side. There we go. There, we got some green. We'll make that green. There we go. Okay, so in order to have my tree, I'm going to put a bark texture in here. So one of the things about making a texture is you can use the color that's underneath it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm going to make a kind of a square thing like this with kind of maybe something like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. And these don't have to be solid. They can just be lines. And then that brown color that's in there can come through. So you'll still see this brown, but I'm going to make just some lines that go over top of it to make the texture So something like this. So to make a texture, I'm going to use, of course, you don't have to draw on here. You can draw outside your visible area there, but I'm going to zoom in and move my canvas around. You don't need to draw right on top. Again, I'm going to use the pen tool maybe and just make some lines. You don't have to fill it in. So I could use the pen tool again and just do lines with no fill. Kind of a little loop like that. I'll change the color. A little loop like that. Like that. Maybe a little loop like this, a little loop like that. So I'll zoom in even further. So again, it's kind of like what I drew on the board. You know, I'm kind of making just little lines like this, and then maybe one more. I don't know, something like that. And then I'm going to color these lines, kind of a darker brown, like that. In fact, they don't all have to be the same color. You can make some a little bit lighter or different. You want a little differentiation or whatever. Maybe a different color brown there so it's not the same. Maybe make one black even. There we go. I don't know. Something like that. So you can change it up. So again, I'm going to make this into a pattern and then apply that pattern to my tree. Okay? So to do that, of course, I'm going to select all the objects in there. And I'm going to go underneath the pattern making pop-up window, which is under window pattern. If I have pattern options, there it is under window pattern. There it is. It's called pattern options. And inside here, there's a way of making it kind of a grid of it. And if in the pattern pop-up window, there is a way to say make pattern. It's at the very top. So I select all my objects, go to where it says make pattern, and it will then say, hey, you want to make a pattern? Yes, I want to make a pattern. It opens it up and kind of shows you what it'll look like when it's done. You can adjust the grid if you would like. There's a way to adjust this grid. You can shift it a little bit so things are not perfectly centered. You can see brick by row, which kind of shifts it so they're not so square, and you can offset it different ways like this. So there's different options in here for doing your pattern. Different ways to make it. This one's called hex by column, which will make it a little bit different and kind of morph it. So there's a whole bunch of options. I know I didn't talk about all of them inside here, but you might want to try them and see what they do to give you different types of patterns inside of Illustrator. They all kind of do different things. When you're done with your pattern, you see at the very top up here, you can save a copy or just say done right here, and it will finish it. And you say, well, where did it go? Well, it goes into your swatches window is where the pattern will be located, and it's right here. And so when I go to my tree, to put it on my tree, I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. I can click on my tree, and if I click on the pattern, it'll show, not the stroke. Went on the stroke. We want it on the fill. There we go. So here's a problem. You'll notice that I clicked on it, and now my tree is transparent, right? I have my pattern in there, what I wanted it, but everything else is transparent. So what do you think we could do? Where should I have put the pattern? Not here. Where should I put the pattern? What's our favorite pop-up window? No, and those appearances, yes. Remember, I want to keep this color, but I want to apply the pattern, right? So I want to keep this color and apply the pattern over top of it. So I go to the appearance window, if we can find appearance, there it is. And in the appearance window, we can add a new fill. If you remember down here, there's the add new fill. I can add a new fill and apply the pattern to that, and then the other color will come through. Okay, so don't forget about appearances and how you can add more than one color or one pattern or fill, if that makes any sense. I know it's not the best. It looks almost like looks more like a palm tree, doesn't it, texture than a redwood tree texture, I guess. But I'm sure you can spend a lot of time, and you could probably, maybe even make a texture for your tree or whatever. So I'm going to kind of group the two objects together by going under Object and Group, so that I can, and then I have a tree layer right here. I'm going to duplicate this tree by holding down Option, click and drag. But of course, this tree and that tree look exactly the same, so I want to change the look of the tree. How I can change the look of the tree is by morphing it, changing its size. But one of the morphing tools, I'm going to change the size a little bit. Let's make it a little smaller. But one of the tools I want to use to morph it is a new tool I haven't showed you yet, and it's called the mesh tool. The mesh tool works by putting a grid over top of an object. So right now we have a tree, and it puts a lines over top of it in a grid-like pattern like this. And then as you, these all have little dots in them, and as you grab the dot and move it, it will change the shape of the object underneath it. So it's called mesh. Well, it's like a grid pattern, mesh. So to apply the mesh over top of this tree right here, it's underneath edit, object, I'm sorry. Object, where's my mesh? It's down here, isn't it? Mesh. And envelope distort. Here it is. Make with mesh. It's under envelope distort. Envelope distort, and I'm going to go to the one that says make with mesh. By clicking on that, it'll put, like I said, it asks you how many rows and columns. It makes a little grid, and of course the more rows and columns, the finer the detail that you can, or you can just leave the default right here. If you click preview, you'll see the little grid it puts over top of it, and you hit OK. Again, to change the shape of this object, I can use the white direct selection tool, and I can click on a point. And if I drag that point, it'll morph the object underneath it. Okay, so it's morphing the object underneath it, so we can change the shape of our tree. Of course, we don't want our tree to be exactly the same here as the other one. We can change the shape using a mesh. Again, it's located underneath object, envelope, make with mesh. And when you're done, you can just click off and it goes away. Okay? So it's an easy way to distort something rather quickly without having, you know, because we want to distort this so it's not the same tree. And you can see there it is. It's still there, the thing. If you just click off, it goes away. When you're done, you can go back to the black arrow, and when you're done, you can go back to release back here and say release right here. And it'll go away. Oh, nope, that didn't go away. Okay, how do I release my envelope here? Object, distort, reset mesh, reset with warp, release, expand. Maybe expand? Expand? How about that? There, back to an object. There was an expand option underneath that same window. There was an expand option underneath here, and that turned off the grid. Again, I'm going to just copy my tree a couple times here. Let's just copy it. Let's just rotate it around here. Maybe make some small ones. A couple small ones in the back there. A couple small ones. There we go. A couple little ones. Kind of ugly, but it's a good start. How about that? I'm going to make a little lake down here. I'm going to make a little watery lake. A little lake here for my trees to kind of go around here. And we'll make that a watery look with some gradient in there. So let me apply gradient to this, my lake here. And here we go. Okay, we have like a little lake down there. Maybe this. There we go. Okay, so I have a little lake, and next I'm going to make a moon. I'm going to make a moon up here, and the moon is going to shine down onto my lake. To make a moon, I'm just going to use a circle and cut it in half. So again, I'm going to use the ellipse tool. I'm going to draw a circle, and let's make it moon color. There. Is that moon color? Moon color. There we go. And if we don't like our moon like this, we can make another circle over top of it. And we could use that circle to cut this circle. So I'm going to use 2 circles, and then I'm going to go to my, if you remember, we have the Pathfinder. And in the Pathfinder, I could say remove the front one, minus front right here, minus front. That'll cut, this top circle will cut a hole in the bottom one. So again, minus front is this one, boom, and I got myself half, or no, what's this called, quarter moon? Moon looks like that? I don't know. Crescent moon? Right? Crescent moon. How about that? So again, I use 2 circles, and in the Pathfinder, you can say minus front. So instead of trying to use the pen tool to draw a shape like that, really quickly and easily, you can use 2 shapes and use them if you remember how to cut out. So again, the main goal here is we want to have the moon shining down onto my water down here. My water down here. I'm going to move this water a little bit down. There we go. I'm going to have the moon shining down onto my water, and in doing so, I'm going to have a gradient that has transparency to it. So I might even make a new layer for this. No, I'm going to put it all. For some reason, I have everything in one layer. I'm actually going to take my moon and cut that out. Cut it out of there, and let's make a new layer. Call it moon layer, and let's paste it back in. Okay, so I have a moon layer. So my next feat again is I'm going to make a gradient that has a transparency to it. So to do that, I'm going to use the pen tool. I know you love the pen tool. You all love pen tool. I love the pen tool. And I'm going to draw just a shape that kind of goes across and behind my moon here, and I'm going to put it behind it. There it is. Okay. So right now, whoosh, it's the same color, and it's kind of big and ugly and yellow, but we're not going to use ugly and yellow. We're going to make it a moonshine. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to use a gradient that actually has a transparency to it. So if I bring up my famous gradient pop-up window, there is a gradient pop-up window. There it is. In the gradient pop-up window, I'm going to tell it to have a gradient. We don't want blue. I'm going to change my color here to yellow, and then this one to another yellow. So we got 2 yellows. Ooh, that's kind of a greenish yellow. So we got 2 yellows. There we go. There, something like that. But this second one over here, if you notice, there's something called opacity right here. What I can do is I can turn the opacity down to 0. Oh, other way is what I wanted, not that one. Well, I guess we can flip it around. How about that? We can flip it around like this. There we go. And so you can have basically a opacity inside of your gradient to give you this kind of glowy effect, if that's a word. Is glowy a word? Glowy can be a word? Okay. Glowy word. Glowy worm. And we could change the angle if you want using the... There we go. That might be a little better. How about that? So again, you can use transparencies in your gradient. I might put a stroke on here so it kind of stands out a little bit. I'm going to put a little stroke on there. There we go. So my moon stands out from the gradient a little bit. Then, of course, I can put some stars in there, and I can put some text for my poster. This is basically, my vision was this was a poster for a play. So we'll have a theater text and things like that. And we'll put that down here in our water down here because, of course, all the attention's going to this wonderful glow, and we want to put attention to our name of our play. Our name of our play is going to be Moonshine. So I'm going to type in some text, Moonshine. One word, and we can make that text. Think of the font. Maybe this is a specific font. Oh. And let's choose a font. No. Oosh, definitely not that. and maybe give it a stroke color. There we go. Maybe give it a 3D effect so it stands out.
What is the opacity?
For what? Whoosh, I don't want a spotlight. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little smaller. There we go. Oh, really? And then let's add some theater text in there. And we'll put some theater text in there. And I know I used a gradient, and most of the WPA posters don't use gradients. Remember, they were solid colors. I am aware of my mistake there. But I wanted to demonstrate the gradient to you. So, and I'm aware of the problem with that. Then if you want something to stand out, if it has a crazy background, you can give yourself a little background if you want. Well, that's okay. And then, of course, we need to put some stars up here. Simple way to make a star, of course, would be to use the star tool. There's one called the star tool. See it? It's called star tool. It's under the basic objects. Choose star, and you can draw a star. And here's our star. Make it pink. And then, of course, if you want your star to be a real star, you can make it glow a little bit. Remember effects. You can do your glow, blur, Gaussian blur. Make it glow a little bit. So it looks a little fuzzy. And we can duplicate that star around. Uh-oh, I didn't want to do that. Maybe some stars are smaller than others. How about that? I guess this star would be not over top of a tree branch, would it? What do you guys think? Beautiful poster? I don't know. Okay. Again, don't forget about the envelope to do a distortion, right? It was under, let's review. I'm going to kind of wrap that up a little bit. I did it kind of quickly, I know, but let's review some of the tools that I demonstrated. Again, you can have gradients that have a transparency to them inside the gradient window. You have an option for opacity right here. Opacity. In addition, we added a texture, right? A texture to our object, as well as this is not a very nice lake down here, is it? Let's make it a little bit. There it is. Oops, I want to do that. And then we added a texture, and then we added some stars with some glow to it, and then we used a cutout for this, and then we distorted using the object envelope distort make with warp. And that's about it. I don't know. So think of an idea. It doesn't have to be a theater. I spelled central wrong, didn't I? I spelled central. Central? Central? Again, look at some samples. Think about, again, online. There's a whole bunch. You just go to Google and type in WPA poster. And you will get a whole bunch. Posters with an S, I guess. Posters? No. And you'll see, again, solid colors. Lots of nature ones. Look at that. That's really nice. Look, Big Bend. Yeah, kind of, maybe. That was more later during World War II. Yeah. But you can see some samples. There's a whole bunch of them. Lots of. There's some more ones in there. I like the zoo ones. Zoo ones are always good. Drawing animals is good. Oh, look, fruit. You guys love drawing fruit, don't you? Yeah. And you know, I love these nature ones. Look at the cave with the stars here. Look at this one. See the Milky Way, Grand Canyon National Park. Well, probably can't see the Milky Way anymore. There's too many people, maybe. A lot of them have a message, right? I just love these. Look at this. Look at that one. Nice nature one. Look at that. Some nice trees. Oh, look at the little baby one. And the zoo ones, there's a bunch of zoo ones. Look at that one. That's kind of cool. Perspective. Think about that. Oh, here's one for Endor. I don't know if I have any student ones. So think about that. I'm going to stop now and let you work for the rest of the class. And then I will meet with you and talk about your assignments if you want. And then next class we'll go over how to use a perspective grid. I know you all want to do it. It's painful though. But there is a tool I'll show you next class. I don't want to do it today. It'll just confuse me more and more. Again, it's called this tool. You probably clicked on it before, this thing, right? You're like, I can't get rid of it. And it stays on there. And you're like, how do I get rid of that? Okay, so I'll go over how to use this thing. It's not that hard. Once you learn the concepts of the perspective grid, you might want to use this in your next assignments as well. It's called the perspective grid. And to turn it off, it's under View, Guides, or where is it? It's perspective grid, Hide grid, right here to turn it off. If you clicked on it accidentally and you can't get rid of it, you go under View, Perspective grid, Hide grid, and it goes away. But I think it's important to learn it. It's a little difficult. In addition, there's another thing I want to show you also. It's called the paint bucket. This one with the paint bucket. Where is it? The tool with the, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one. And now it's on there again. Damn, I can't get rid of it. Live paint bucket. Live paint bucket. We'll go over that too. But that's a whole nother beast to learn. You might want to try the shape builder tool. I don't really like that one. Again, let's turn it off. Perspective grid, hide grid. It goes away. Okay, I'm gonna stop.